right, everybody. Welcome back to the Link Podcast with yours truly, Link Brown. Today I have a guest with me who I've known for 25 years almost, I think. We actually went to college together, majored in the same, had the same major throughout college. I want to introduce you to Angela Mctair, who is the founder of Harlem Zen Med Spa in Atlanta and in New York. So Angela, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me on, Link.
So we're going to have a little bit of fun.
Can't wait.
I'm glad you came on. So like I said, so just for everybody to know, we met each other, like I said, 25 years ago. Started, Angela's a chemical engineer, just like I was. We suffered through, we thrived through 4 years
Right.
of Carnegie Mellon together. One of the reasons, she's one of the first people I reached out to when I thought about building the podcast for a few reasons. I said, one is she's extremely tenacious and goal oriented. I don't know many people who are as focused and as driven as Angela is. And I am just more than proud of you for what you've accomplished, where you've come from. Yeah, it's been a long journey, but I'm really excited for people to know more about you. I'm excited for them to know more about you as an entrepreneur, you and pursuing your passions. And yeah, you have a lot to share, and I'm excited for people to hear about it.
Thank you. That's a lovely introduction.
So,
Such
all right.
kind
So,
words.
all right. So, Angie. So, all right. So maybe you can just give us a little bit of history so people know who you are, where you're from, and kind of how you made your journey to chemical engineering.
Okay. Well, I remember as a child, me and my brother, we like to mix things, and we put the old pieces of leftover soap and lotion in the microwave and like called it soap lotion. And so I do believe that we actually invented the first moisturizing cleanser, but no one's given us credit, unfortunately. But I think that his love for tinkering became my love for tinkering. And when it came time to figure out, like, well, what do people like that actually do? Like, what's the career name for that? I kind of found out that I had happened into um, that type of lifestyle just by happenstance, because what really happened was my parents put me in an engineering program when I was, I think in high school. We met up with someone, they had a bumper sticker on their car, National Society of Black Engineers.
Mm.
And my mother was like, what is that? Like she was excited. So like we chased this man down in a parking lot and had a conversation with him. And he was telling me about, STEM, and STEM wasn't a word back then, but that's basically what he was sharing, is that people of color need to be involved in the sciences, and is a great way to make money, blah, blah, blah. And so, unfortunately, one thing that I've learned over the years is that a poverty mentality, and I think Damon John wrote a whole book about this, is a poverty mentality can be a heck of a motivator. And so that's really where I come from, because when I met the man and when I finally got a chance to speak, and he was encouraging me to be an engineer, I said, well, what engineer makes the most money? And he said, I think that would be chemical. So here we are, 25 years later. But it was thinking back, all of those kind of improve your lifestyle, graduate to a better way of living kind of decisions kind of snaked me to the path where I am, because whenever I graduated high school, my thought again was really financially focused. And it was about, well, where can I go to school for free? So my mom would say, well, where are you going to go? We're getting all these acceptance letters, and, MIT's accepting and Georgia Tech's accepting. And I'm like, I'm going to the highest bidder, And so it's really, it's unfortunate to look back on it and think about that kind of being how all these decisions were made, but that was the reality of that time frame. Financial instability in my home was a huge driver for me in a way that made me think about, well, how do I get to permanent stability?
Mm.
And so that was always kind of the thought. And then I go and become an entrepreneur, which is
Yeah.
zero stability,
Exactly.
zip. So life comes full circle, but we're doing well. And that path led me to a lot of different educational opportunities. And it's all kind of now culminated into a business that is serving people and helping them to be able to look and feel the way they want to look and feel.
So I find it interesting because one of my memories about you from college is how you were talking about you and your brother putting together soaps and lotion. Your what did you call it? Soap lotion.
Soap lotion.
Soap
Yeah.
lotion. Yeah,
You got
yeah.
to say it fast
One
though.
is right.
Soap
Soap lotion.
lotion.
Soap lotion.
Okay. Thank you.
Soap lotion.
Yeah.
And but I remember I was like, you used to always mix different lotions and different stuff together. It's like this woman, she is the formulator in chief. Like she just, you're like, oh, this feels a certain way. I was like, oh, okay, okay. But it was really clear, even at that time. It was like, wow, it's like she loves cosmetology, she loves beauty, she loves all these things, and yeah, you really. I didn't realize that you had decided to go to the highest bidder, but it does make sense. Yeah, but you were always super focused like that. So let me ask you. So you went to the highest bidder. So uh, why do you why do you was there anything in you that would have said that wishes maybe you didn't choose the path of the highest bidder?
Oh, not at all. Not at all. I mean, God has blessed that wayward decision in so many ways. I mean, I talk to Melissa and Chipmunk every single day. I'm talking to Keisha, we text and talk, probably about once a week for prayers and then gratitudes. And so I mean, like, these people are like the pillars of my life.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was meant to be. I mean, I would do 8 years at Carnegie Mellon to have them. So it was, and that 8 years there is a pretty distasteful thing. That's like a bid, but I absolutely am so grateful because I've gone in graduate school, made great friends, and no disrespect to them, love them. I feel like my undergrad friends have just become like matrixed into my life in a way it's inseparable.
Mm-hmm.
So I very much these are by far, you know, the greatest gifts that I got from that experience. So yeah, I love my people, and we're still very much tight on a daily basis, tight.
Yeah, amen to that. It's so when I think about that, so first the friends part, I completely with you. Like it's great to keep your friends from those really formative years, right? But then, okay, so me being a person who didn't have a free ride to go to school, um, you know, I go, but when I give advice to people today, I actually give them the same advice that you took for yourself, that you were focused enough to understand. Me, I just said I wanted something far away from Cincinnati, far enough away that that it was nothing like Cincinnati, and but close enough that I could get home if I needed to. Just feeling that instability maybe. But I didn't really care like how much I had to pay in loans or whatever. I just said, no, this is what needs to be top 25 and far enough away from Cincinnati, but not too far. And great, great school. But today I tell people all the time, I say, no, go to the best school you can that gives you the most amount of money.
Get the money.
Get
Absolutely. Because you'll be paying it until your children will be paying it.
Yeah,
So
that's 10 years. I'm like 10 years of paying off loans. So I think it's
Yeah.
a very wise decision. Did you have any guidance to help you make that decision or no?
No, I literally looked at the numbers. You know, it's
Mhm.
just like, okay, Georgia Tech wants this. They're giving a computer. How much is a computer worth? Computer, you know, $4,000. Okay. You know, and it was just like literally like putting the letters next to each other. Okay, this is the most money. You know, like
Mhm.
it was seriously a twisted kind of way to get there.
Yeah.
But you know, the school was great. We went to visit, and I thought that, you know, it looks can be deceiving. But yeah. And everything looked great and it seemed like it was gonna be this, you know, fantastic experience. I'm gonna get out of this scot-free and you know, it's but God had a plan. God had a plan because you know he knew I had family that was going to be at that school. So you know, whatever type of, you know, challenges we went through, I'll use the word challenge. Um, yeah, challenge. Whatever challenges we went through were to me a small price to pay.
I got you. Very cool. All right. So, and by the way, so you also said you chose engineering because, or chemical engineering because it was could could pay the most. But did it
Mm.
also have to do with the cosmetology side or the beauty side, or were you even thinking that at the time?
You know, it I didn't understand that chemical engineers would come out and do exactly the things that I already love to do.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just how underexposed I was. And when I started that path, it was like, oh, so people actually go out and do what I like to do anyway
Mm-hmm.
and get paid for it. So, you know, that was very much like more providence, you know, more of God knowing the path and just kind of nudging me, you know, along it where I was able to do, you know, the work that I absolutely loved
Mm-hmm.
and still meet my my financial security kind of hangups.
Fair enough. Okay. All right. So, so, so you get out of, you leave Carnegie Mellon, you go directly to work for Johnson and Johnson, right? And
Yes.
what were you doing there, and how long did you stay? And tell me a little bit about it.
Yeah, so did about 5 years at Johnson Johnson, met more family there, which was amazing. My mentor, Todd Allen, has been my mentor forever. His sons were 2 and 3 when I met him. He took me for my interview dinner.
Yeah,
And his
I remember the name. And I'm like, oh yeah.
yeah, he lives near me now, like 25 minutes away.
Oh
It's
snap. Okay.
yeah, God moved him here too because he knew I was gonna need him. But yeah, so I just remember from that dinner him saying, Angie, just get the offer
Mm,
and then to figure out what you're gonna do.
mm,
And so that would be advice to anyone who's out there not sure what to do with their careers, you know, just get as many options as you can in front of yourself
mm,
and decide from there. So stayed there, did lots of formulating for all of the J&J brands, Neutrogena, Johnson's Baby, Aveeno, Rock. Uh, there were a lot of them. Clean and Clear. Um, met some really, really amazing people who just really fed me. So that was a great job. I didn't know it at the time, but it was a great job. And probably the best job I've ever had in corporate America. And so it was a lot of growth there. I think there's a lot of corporate skill sets
mm,
that the Carnegie Mellon isolationist kind of work environment didn't really prepare me for. I
mm,
almost feel like if I had done something like Penn or, you know, one of the other schools that I know a little bit better that are more at kind of the well-rounded
mm.
development,
Yeah.
yeah, would have been a better start, but then it wouldn't have been my path because and I'm grateful for the path because whenever I decided that I had had enough of that and that you know, I needed to find a way to, you know, level up my career, Well, while I was there, I went and did a master's degree in cosmetic chemistry at Fairleigh Dickinson, which was helpful, but it didn't give me any type of career boost. Gave me more understanding of my field, which is always a good thing to have. And then I decided I was going to Wharton, and I had no other choice on the, I had no other consideration. So it was just like, it's like Wharton or bust. And so I decided, I went and saw presentation and walked the campus, and I was like, this is where I belong. Absolutely doing this.
So did you go
And
to
so,
school? Wow. Well, did you go to school and work at the same time, or you quit?
oh, I got I did the master's degree while I was working. And crazy thing, I was trying to also do like a cosmetology. I was trying to do hair school at the same
Hair
time I was
school.
doing the
Yeah.
master's and the job. And it was just like, one of these things has got to go. And so I was like, well, what's the most what is the most far-fetched thing here on this plate? So I got the hair school out of there because it was totally a waste of time. So I'm officially a hair school dropout, which is title that I'll carry with honor. Yeah. So I quit to go to Wharton, but I had to get some support. So I had my boss, Key Ho, God bless him. He's passed now, but he was an incredible inspiration. And I carry so many of his words with me to this day. He had an amazing way of putting things. But Key wrote me a letter that I still, when I need to remember who I am, it's one of those you can go back and read, because he just broke it down for me in a way that I didn't even see myself. And of course, I had wonderful mentoring there. And then there was a guy who, and I can't remember his name. He had some department, but I went to go and ask him for a letter, and because he was a Wharton grad. And so I went to ask him for a letter and, oh, this is what I'm trying to do. And he looked at me, he was like, you will never get in, right? So it was great pleasure for me to go and take him a copy of my acceptance letter. Once I got it, just slide that right on your desk, brother. Enjoy. Thanks for the encouragement. Because, moments like that, when somebody comes at you with such negativity, you just want to tell them, like, watch me, like that's the response. So it becomes even more of a joy to make it happen anyway. So quit.
Yeah. So what made you quit though? And like, what made you said you were going after the stability route, and then you have a you have a great job. You mean you work for the one or two first or second personal care company in the world, and you go, I'm done. Like, what was it that made you go, all right, I'm done?
Yeah, my parents, they were after me. My dad especially were like, you're gonna leave this good job, like what kind of, because their generation was like, you stay at a job until you die or you get the gold ring or whatever, the gold watch. And so what I was saying was like, just didn't make sense to them, but it was like, how am I going to make this quantum leap that I need to make? Because when you're in the workplace, you can see certain people are on a fast track, and that they are, a golden child, or, that things are happening for them.
Yep.
And so I'm like, well, how do I make things happen for me? And so whenever I went and did my master's degree, and I was like, I still feel kind of like this thing is just chugging real slow here. I felt that getting more education and kind of switching my position, because where I worked, in a R&D driven, in a marketing driven company, your marketing people will kind of tell R&D like, hey, you need to make this. And then when you're in a R&D driven company, R&D people come over and they're like, figure out how to market that, And so it's just been it was a weird thing where it was like, well, maybe if I can get from the R&D side of the table to the marketing side of the table, I can somehow level up on this thing. So it was just a lot of muddy strategic thinking that was like, well, this isn't going to happen. I had come to the conclusion within myself that within this organization, I can have a nice, comfortable life. I can, buy a house and have, 2 kids and a dog. But I'm never going to be the person who's going to get to that level that I'm trying to get to. So I felt very strongly that I needed to kind of buck the system and create another path for myself.
Was it like work frustration? Because I can understand that. Like, you see people, you were talking about, like, you see people on the fast track, or and it's like, and they probably have a lot of accomplishments, so I don't want to ever put down anybody else's accomplishments, but you think, I can do that. Why am I not doing that? Like, what? Wait, this person? Them? Really?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Was
And
it more like I've I have felt that same angst. I felt that angst myself. I don't know if that's the kind of feeling you were having, where you're going, no,
Yeah.
something's gonna happen, and
I'm gonna make it happen. One way or the other, I'm gonna make
yeah.
something happen.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's exactly what it was. And to be honest, even today, whenever I feel stuck or feel like things aren't moving forward the way I want to, like, my go-to is education. It always feels like, well, if I can amass more education, then something in there is going to click to help me, like, catapult to the next level with this thing. So, like, I'm working on franchising Harlem Zen, and I've been working on it for maybe about 1.5, 2 years now, and work through deal after deal, deals falling through left and right, mine, landmines blowing up in my face. So it's been challenging. So I signed up for a certificate program at Georgetown to get a franchising, credential under my belt. So I'm like, well, maybe, there needs to be a little bit more tutelage in this fine art, because I mean, I can give a great service and I can run tight ship in the shop, and we're doing well. But how do you reproduce more of these widgets? And navigating those waters, like franchising, it's not a skill set that I have. So I'm a big proponent of continuous education. We always have to be learning.
So I'm 100% with you on the whole idea of education. Part of me gets an itch every time I think about the possibility of having to go back to school again. So I'm like, no.
We're done. We are
done.
done here.
I did my time. It's over. But there is always, I think about other routes. Obviously, there's self-study, but that's very costly, because you make a ton of mistakes and you can't read enough books to avoid making them. But then also mentorship. And I wonder, like, for you, like, how is that playing, mentorship versus versus going back and get a certificate. And I mention it only because I think some people only rely on, they think the certificate is the answer necessarily, right? Or they think the education is the answer. And I go, okay, that education is great because you're just trying to fill your brain, and then you're going to put a lot of action behind it. But I wonder, like, how you use the different types of education, not just the certificate, but mentoring and personal development, in order to build your strategy about how you want to move forward.
Absolutely. I'm still learning how to manage them all, because each one of these things is time consuming. And there's only so much time, and we still got to run the business, still got to be mom, still got to be a wife, still got to run a household. So figuring out how to compartmentalize and make all of these things happen has been challenging. But yeah, I have several mentors that I'm very grateful for, that really do feed into me. Actually, I just really went to everybody who was like a mentor to me and asked them to be on my board. So that's basically how I formed my advisory board. And if I could turn my screen, you would see like I have each one of their names on a Post-it note over here behind me. And I write down questions that I want to ask them throughout the week. So for instance, like Todd is a manufacturing scale up and, you know, just expert on doing everything smarter in terms of cost efficiency and that kind of thing. And then one of my mentors, Yolanda Roll, owns a Remax. And so not only is she a franchisee, but she also understands real estate. And so franchising, a big part of franchising is obviously the real estate acquisition and how you manage that piece of it. So I think that's been a hugely fruitful relationship for me. Another mentor, Sherry Sims, she's just a all around kind of genius, but she basically really helps me, guides me in customer service issues. And because I don't have any customer service background, I'm just like, treat the customers nice. They pay your bills, you know, like, you know, treat them how you would want to be treated if you're spending your money in an institution. And so that's kind of been my guiding principle, but there's actually some nuance to that. And so she's managed spas and understands a lot with that. Laura Finney, she's my financial advisor and just all around kind of super smart finance person who's really fed into me on those kinds of things. And last but not least, Tadra Mitchell Jackson is ethnic skincare, hair care, just guru on marketing. So she knows how to talk to the masses about those kind of products. So if whatever problem I'm facing or, you know, issue I'm trying to understand or percolate through, pretty much, you know, got a mentor that I go to for that kind of concern. And I'm still a little hesitant because I hate using their time for things that I feel like a lot of it I should be able to figure it out myself. But I have to remember that a lot of people who we're competing with, they're super successful because they're standing on others' shoulders. And that's something that I think, particularly as African Americans, we have to get a little bit more comfortable with getting a boost from the prior generation, not just on civil rights issues, you know, but on doing things smarter, running businesses, you know, managing your life, you know, managing your finances. Those are things that should be part of our grooming and how we pull ourselves together. There should be a lot more input. And I think it's just a matter of, Tadra tells me, if you don't open your mouth and ask, you know, so that's been a very helpful thing for me to keep in mind.
Yeah, you know what I've found. So one is I found that you know, mentors want to mentor you. They chose to be your mentor for a reason, right? And I'm with you about this whole idea of like we might have again. There's a personal responsibility side. And then there's a mentoring side, like where when people want to mentor you, they mentor you because you take personal responsibility. They already know you do. And so when you go and ask a question, they know that that response is going into good soil, right? It's like you're going to take whatever they gave them and you're going to maximize it to the best you can. So they love seeing the return in another generation for it. So there should never be like I have my little collection of mentors as well, right? It just depends on the topic. Just whatever I need, I go. I'm talking to this person, and it's amazing how super busy people find time for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I always one thing I always like to tell people is, at least for me, that the way I keep them at least is I always try to give them an update so that they know that
Still over here.
Yeah.
I'm still here. Don't forget about
I'm just
me.
like, they fed something into me. If it was successful or not, I at least want to like give them some feedback and not just thank you, let me go eat my lunch and go do something else, but you know, really say, hey, all you were looking for was some gratitude and some an application of what you did. So
Yeah.
that's really cool. I yeah, I love that you're organized in that way, that you have your list of mentors. And I love also that you're taking, seems to me like an all of the above approach. You're like,
That's pretty much it. Yeah. It's a greedy just stuff yourself with education kind of thing. Um but I am trying to figure out how to not pare back, but just, focus more. And,
mm,
as I talk with different people, life coaches, and just smart people who've done well, that's kind of the overall theme that I hear again and again. Is just, get one thing, focus in on it, knock it out, and then go to the next thing, like, don't do the spread where you're
mhm,
like, I'm over here doing this, no, I'm over here doing that, and just,
mhm,
the scatterbrain kind of approach. It just gets you exhausted and kind of limits your capabilities.
yeah.
So that's one of my, uh, I won't say resolution, but one of my initiatives to try to work on being more focused in my approach. But entrepreneurship, um, it kind of just trains you to be scatterbrained, because you might have to go and, like, fix a pipe, and then running back to something spilled, or then running over here and the lights out in the main area, and it's just like there a lot of things can happen. So as you build, and you're able to scale, it really does change things when you're able to start to put appropriate staff. So when you get those calls, there's somebody to, oh, we'll call such and such for that, call so and so for that.
Yeah.
And you're not the person for every issue that occurs, because it's full on.
I can
It's full on.
imagine doing a facial treatment and fixing a light bulb at the same time. Like
Same time.
the
Yep, just got
visual.
to keep it going.
Yeah. So you use your your need to go make something happen. You go to B school, go to Wharton, it's one of the best schools in the country.
Thank you very much.
Awesome. Then now you in this, I guess after B school, you become a mom. You talked
Yeah,
about one of the inflection points for you is like it really changed you was like becoming a mom and leaving corporate America. So I don't, how did that kind of all tie in together?
absolutely. So left B school, did a couple years in corporate, L'Oreal, Estee Lauder, Unilever, and then um, I realized that I really wanted to do my own thing.
Mm,
So I started looking for places in New York, and shopping. The whole process of getting a lease in New York City, at least in that time frame, was a really extensive thing. So I proceeded to find the place, and I was going to sign the lease, and I was going to meet with the woman, but I didn't feel so good. And so turns out, you know, that there was a bun in the oven, and that kind of made me rethink everything. So I kind of put my plan on hold, did another corporate job for a short period of time, and then just about the time shortly after Kayla was born, I got another opportunity with a hair care company called Mctair, to be their general manager, and it was a work from home position, which was really good for me with the newborn, and just allowed me to kind of manage what I needed to manage at home and at work at the same time simultaneously. It wasn't easy, but and from there, I went ahead and transitioned into I would be out and people would say, "Oh, your skin or whatever," and so, "Oh, well, I'm an esthetician," and then before we know it, we've exchanged cards, and then they're coming to, my house to get facials, and I was like, "Well, I guess it's time to go ahead and do this thing," and what I really was interested in. Um, was kind of just like figuring out how to toe the line and do both, have the corporate security and do the entrepreneurship. And it just was, for me, it was impossible. There are people who do it flawlessly. But I had to just go ahead and move on. And I entered into a partnership with someone who had a med spa in Midtown, 41st Street. And that was a bad idea, but it gave me some really good learning. So I came to the conclusion that from a couple of life experiences
Mm,
that, God is my partner,
mm.
and yeah, and there will never be another partner of any sort. So yeah. But so the partnership experience really prompted me to figure out that I wanted to do my own thing my way. Is the young lady was a really, really talented esthetician.
Mhm,
But as a businesswoman, there were a lot of issues. And
mm,
so with me being a minority shareholder in the company, it was really, yeah, it was not the ideal situation.
mm,
So I decided I was going to go ahead and go on my own. And one of the things I learned from her was the love of the laser, because, I knew so many women in my family with unwanted facial hair. And as a Black woman, you go and try to get treated with a laser and you're going to get burned.
mm.
Well, I'm sorry, that was negative. Um, the likelihood of something happening, you can edit this out, right?
I will. Mm.
The likelihood of something happening is higher given you gotta stop laughing. The likelihood of something happening is higher, basically directly proportional to amount of pigment in your skin.
Oh, okay.
So the equipment is typically not engineered for skin with pigment. So this is where things go wrong, because lasers are attracted to pigment.
Mhm,
So this is why historically people of color have had a lot of challenges getting treatments that involve lasers, such as the laser hair removal or skin rejuvenation, skin tightening. Those kinds of things can go horribly wrong. And so I was able to be introduced to a Black esthetician that worked with lasers and did it flawlessly. And I felt that as I learned from her, I was like, oh, there's a method to this madness. And I went and started studying more. And I went and studied with Dr. Raj Kumar in Trinidad, and studied with, various different people who really knew their stuff with
mhm.
respect to the lasers, and figured out that that was a niche, kind of like a untapped niche.
Yeah. And is there like equipment that's tuned towards pigmented skin, or is it just you have to oh, maybe this is like trade secret or something, but like I don't know, it just has me curious. Is it something that people are dialing in? Is it like new equipment that's out there? Is it maybe we yeah, I don't know.
No,
Mm,
that's actually a really excellent question. Basically, it's really about wavelengths. And so the longer wavelengths are safer, or they're more gentle for pigmented skin. And
okay.
so a lot of the lasers that are out there, when you see the cheap $5,000 laser or whatever, a lot of times that's an IPL. It's not actually a laser, or it's something that's using a wavelength that's not appropriate for
Mhm.
brown skin. And so when the person either is uneducated, that's the provider is uneducated on the equipment, um, they can, even with a piece of equipment that is set up correctly for skin of color, cause a bunch of damage. So you
Mm,
really need to be working with a person who understands the skin, knows what to look for, and actually knows how to use the right piece of equipment. So if you don't get the right piece of equipment and the right person in the room together,
mm,
the likelihood of a mishap is pretty high. But there are machines, unfortunately, they're priced, 10 times what the mainstream machine would cost. So it has to be someone who's very dedicated and has a passion for delivering the right result for skin of color, to invest in something like that in the first place, because it's like, well, I could run a laser, extravaganza. I could open a, laser warehouse and put 10 machines in 10 different rooms and have them running around the clock. Or I can buy this one little machine that will work. And so I can treat one person at a time and do it excellently. So it's not like this is the, arbitrage, go out and make money kind of situation.
Yeah.
It's like, I really feel like this is something that's needed in the market and that people aren't doing it. So yeah, you go to these laser factories, but you really need to question, if you're a person that's pigmented, you need to question and find out that you've got the right kind of people, and they don't have to be Black people, they just have to be people who know how to treat Black people, and the right type of equipment. So there's a lot of nuance to that.
That's cool. Okay. Interesting. Well, I've seen some of the results on your site. So definitely like seeing like, that you do good work. So that I can attest to. All right. So you put this on the side. So you decided to go into a partnership to never do a partnership again.
Good learning, more education.
You learned how to be an esthetician, or work with lasers, I should say, during this. And now you have Harlem Zen. So did you have Harlem Zen? Was it called Harlem Zen then, or when you went out on your own? Is that when you created Harlem Zen?
Absolutely, yeah. So when I went out on my own, there was a whole process of kind of figuring out, well, I'm on my own here, and I get to create it, whatever I wanted to be from the ground up. So went through a lot of different names, went through a lot of different concepts. My girl Susan, she is, and you remember Susan.
She's Susan in Thailand, by the way.
Oh, you did?
Her and I, yeah, I was on vacation. Okay, total sidebar. We were in, my son and I were on a vacation in Thailand, and she sent some Facebook message and was like, hey, I'm in Thailand for 6 months. And I was like, what? And so like, we were just there for a few days. And so we hung out, yeah. So I'm sure she'll show you pictures or something. It's a small world. Yeah, we saw each other in Bangkok. We went out and ate scorpions, and she didn't.
Okay.
She went with us as we ate scorpions.
Okay, got you.
But we had a good time. Anyway, Susan.
I love that. I love that story. That's awesome. Yeah, she's definitely like, where in the world is Susan San Diego? Like, exactly. We're trying to circle her on the map somewhere. So she's globetrotting and doing beautiful things. But when I tell you about like having a 20-year friendship, be the person who like comes in and helps you get started and helps you with your branding, and like Susan was like my rock through that whole setup time period. I mean, she was creating art. There we go. There's her work. Nice. Boom. Yes. I didn't even know this thing was called the Zen Circle until like 2 years ago. And we've been in business for 6 years. And I was like, Susan's a freaking genius. Like when I was looking through it, because I was working with someone and they were like, oh yeah, you've got a Zen Circle in there. That's a great. I was like, that's what that's called. So, she was doing so much stuff that was just like next level. Her vision is just amazing, and she's doing great. So I was very, very thankful to have that support going through that phase when I just, was completely out there. It was like, I got a blank canvas here. I'm trying to figure this thing out. I knew what equipment I wanted to work with because I had kind of been exposed to things. And so the purchase of the equipment was really that was the hard part, was like committing to this mortgage, So, going back to the financial security hot button, it's like, you want me to buy a machine that costs what? Like you're tripping right now, because I'm imagining myself like the guy from The Pursuit of Happiness, like running around with this big machine and trying to sell it if something doesn't work out. So yeah, it was definitely it was a faith walk, and kudos to the Aerolase guy who who courted me, because I actually met him in 2010. Whenever I was just getting myself familiarized with the laser industry, I met him at a talk where a Black dermatologist was demoing the equipment that I work with. And he kept my information, and I swear, like every week, this guy was sending me a white paper. He was sending me something, emailing me, checking in. You ready to make a move? You ready? 5 years later, in 2015, I actually purchased from him. And it was, so my dream really got put on hold through that whole, I'm going to be a mom and drag strollers up and down icy subway stairs, for a couple years here. And then once it was time, it was time. So I was very, very grateful for the opportunity to go ahead and let this one piece of equipment, which, I still have and love to this day, kind of be the starting point. And so he got all the way down to like, can you put $500 down? I'm like, so, but, once that toe was in the water, because we started at like, tens of thousands, and finally we got down to $500. If you can put $500 down, we can do it. So, that's really where it started. And I took the leap of faith, and my husband was very much like, go do it, go, go, go. And so I was very much nervous, because I wanted to have a sure thing going when I started my entrepreneurial journey. And I guess that path just wasn't meant for me. I was meant to take the plunge, and plunge I did. So, and it's been a blessing.
Yeah, for sure. And you've expanded from that. And what made you make the decision to go to being staffed versus to now having employees and in your
Yeah. Well, you realize you hit that wall where your capacity, I mean, and this is stuff you learn in business school, but when it comes to your life,
yeah.
like, well, that was Harvard Business Review. Like, this is my life. So it just feels very different when you're faced with these decisions. But, getting a little long in the tooth, see my little silver streak there, so, it came to a point where you think about, like, where is this going next, and am I going to be able to sustain this until my daughter can take it over, or until whatever time frame. Like, eventually somebody's gonna have to take it over. You can't keep bending over the bed. The volume of treatments is going up. You want to be able to have more treatments or more clients than you can physically treat. And when you think about like it's scale or die, like those are the choices. So as much as I was very much keeping my clients close to me like my children, it was hard to think about letting somebody else touch my child, but it's necessary. It's necessary to get good at teaching what and to get good at being able to let go of certain parts of the business, even when you're already trained to be the do it all girl. You got to figure out how not to be.
What I as you're telling me this, I'm visualizing you and your decision point that you had to come to in your life, even starting at J&J, where you're like, look, I'm not going to get to where I want to doing it this way. I have to blow this up. I have to, let me say it differently. There's a security blanket that when you've dealt with financial insecurity in your life, that corporate job is the security blanket, right? And you leave. And then having the partner could be a security blanket. And you go, being a one-person show could be a security blanket, because at least it's in your hands and nobody's going to mess it up and blah, 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 blah. And the way I look at it is like, you've already proven so many times over, just in the small decisions from where to go to school to to leaving school, to getting a partner, to giving up the partnership, to everything of like, to help you, prepare you to make the next decisions to grow your business to where you want it to be. And I think that's just it's just an awesome, it's an awesome thing. So you're staff now, you're moving forward, and like you said, it's, what did you say? It's grow or die. So it's like, all right, there's,
Yeah,
there's really not a middle ground. There's really not a middle.
there's really not. So
So,
you have to get comfortable with doing things that make you uncomfortable,
yeah,
and where the gaps are in your learning, fill them.
yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Well, I found that out. Might have found it out the hard way, but
Oops.
education is generally expensive. So just be prepared to pay for the
You're gonna
mistakes.
pay one way or another. So,
Yeah. hmm Figure it out.
all right. So Harlem Zen. So what's next for you? What's next on the horizon? Where's your heart at? Where do you want to go from here?
Well, really, Harlem Zen has employed people, people of color mostly, and allowed us to create a little bit of economic empowerment in our community. So I feel like, as we just gone through this whole Black Lives Matter just bonanza, and the support that came out from people wanting to, um, you know, come and patronize a Black owned business, like that was super eye opening to me. And to just be able to start having real conversations about economic empowerment, like that we have to own stuff, land, businesses, banks, like we have to start owning stuff to be able to um, occupy a different position in society than what we currently have. So um, for me, we have clients who the client who comes from the furthest flies from Arizona. So then we have someone, who drives in from South Carolina, from North Carolina, someone from Tennessee, two ladies from New Orleans. And so it's like people shouldn't have to feel like they have to pay for a plane ticket in addition to their service, to be able to get a service that should be available in Arizona, should be available. So that's really where it came to me that the fastest and most genuine, if maybe that's the word I'm looking for, way to scale nationwide and prayerfully globally one day is to find other people like me who genuinely, give a damn and want to be able to help people who are suffering from aesthetic concerns to be able to conquer them. So, I've seen, beautiful, beautiful ladies, hormones in the chicken, got hair growing on their faces, and they shouldn't have to deal with that. And so then the face is getting messed up because we're trying to shave it and we're doing things and trying to wake up before our husbands and shave. And,
Mm,
like, no, like there are ways to get rid of these concerns. We've got people who are officers, who have to stay clean shaven, and they've got, more bubbles on their neck than, like
mm,
it's painful. Like that's not just aesthetic, like that's an infection,
yeah, yeah.
So it's a medical concern. And so being able to safely remove hair for some people is just or to deal with acne, for some people it's just, I'm pretty, I want to be prettier. For some people, it's a health concern, it's a confidence, complete like confidence buster that, you're hiding. I remember years when I had like a bang like Sia, because I'm trying to like cover my forehead because it was broke out. So, and you don't want to answer, you don't want to, got an idea in a meeting, you don't want to draw attention to yourself because you feel like how you look is unfit. And so, as much as we can remove the barriers to getting safe and effective treatment for all people, that's really the mission, and to make it more widespread so that people don't have to, everybody can't, schedule to fly in to get skincare services. It should be available. It just should be available. It's something you should be able to go and get. And you should be able to trust that the place that you go knows how to treat skin of color. I think in general, that's just another form of, it's almost like a form of discrimination that
Mm,
you have to jump through all of these hoops just to be able to get a safe and effective treatment. Because a lot of times, unfortunately, providers who don't know what they're doing will either, turn the machine way down and pantomime a treatment for you, and then nothing happens, or they'll use it as they would use it on somebody of a different skin tone that can tolerate it, and then that's where we get all these horror stories. So, be glad for the people who do the pantomiming, because, the others are the ones who really do damage. So I guess I say all that to say is that I really want to be instrumental in assisting with the economic empowerment of our people by having more people sign on to do what I'm doing, because it makes a difference in people's lives.
mhm,
Before COVID, I get lots of air hugs now, but we get hugs, we get tears. Um, for some people, it's not a big deal. It's just transactional, it's just a service. But for some people, they haven't been out of their house without makeup in 10 years. And, I had someone, I thought I was going to have to fireman carry her out of the room, because it was like she's not coming out without her makeup. And she didn't have her makeup. And she used to not being seen without makeup because, the shadow
mm.
was was damaging to her. Or people who are transgender females. We have quite a few transgender women that we've worked with for some time, and I absolutely want people to be able to live their best life. And whenever you see what it means to someone to
Mhm.
be able to present the way that they want to present, um, I heard actually one of the ladies that I was working with said to me, for some people, it's just a matter of shaving your legs a few less times. But for people like me, it could be a matter of life and death. And
Mm.
so that really struck me. And I want to be a part of making it better for these people who are dealing with the effects of not being able to have their aesthetics in the way that they hope they would be.
That's amazing. And that's empowerment too. You were talking about you've had a little bit of economic empowerment. I'm like, no, 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 no. No, when you empower people to live, no, to live their best life, that's social, economic, spiritual. It's every kind of empowerment. Seriously, because it's if you think you're ugly, it's tough to share your gift with the world.
Yeah.
Right? It's tough to do that if you think you have a problem. But the moment you can give somebody confidence, so kudos to you. I'm really excited about what you're doing. How can people learn more about Harlem Zen? Where can they get in touch with you? Yeah.
Yeah. So believe it or not, I was able to lock down pretty much every Harlem Zen handle. So on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, we're just Harlem Zen. And then our website is harlemzen.com. So we're pretty easy to find. You can Google us and see our 103 5-star reviews. Thank you very much. And counting. But no, just very proud of being able to deliver some quality services that
Yeah,
hopefully have helped some people out.
that's cool. That's cool. Well, as we wrap up here, again, I'm really thankful that you came on. It's good to get to catch up after such a long time. Uh, again, I always remember your passion for cosmetology and beauty, and I just said, wow, it's amazing how you're putting it into work, and the path that you forged for yourself by a lot of hard work and vision and focus, and then obviously having a great community around you as well. So and given that I know or I've met your parents a long time ago, but I have to give them a little shout out too. They did an amazing job with you and your brothers, so they should be very proud of what what you've accomplished and where you're going. So I'm super proud of you. I thank you for taking the time to talk to me and taking the time to educate people on the options that are available to them and the path towards their own future.
Thanks so much, Link. I appreciate you having me. And I just want to add in, to God be the glory for everything, because this is truly a divinely led mission. So I'm thankful and I appreciate you inviting me.
Cool. All right. So we'll talk sometime. Yeah, all the best to you.
Yeah, enjoy Geneva.
All right. All right.
Bye-bye.
All right, guys, we hope you loved it. Help us spread more global understanding, encouragement, and inspiration. There's 4 things you can do for us. You can comment, subscribe, like, and share. Enjoy the journey.